everyone! So I've obviously already posted a pregnancy update, so you guys all know that I'm pregnant, but I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit more about PCOS and pregnancy, because when you have Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, one of the main aspects of that is infertility, and I never really heard of anyone becoming pregnant unexpectedly with PCOS, so I kind of just want to tell my story, maybe give people some hope out there that pregnancy is possible with PCOS, natural pregnancy is possible with PCOS, and unexpected or surprise pregnancies are possible with PCOS. So I was first diagnosed with PCOS when I was 16. I'm now 23, so it's been a while. I've had the diagnosis for a long time. I've known about it for a very long time. Basically, I've never had regular periods. Ever since I got my period when I was 12, they were always super irregular, and I could go up to 6 months without getting a period. And then what actually led to my diagnosis was having a period that lasted for an entire month, which made me anemic. It was terrible. So yeah, I was diagnosed then. They put me on birth control, but I had a very strong reaction to the birth control. Basically, the entire month that I was on birth control, I was cramping the whole time. I was super irritable, acne terrible. My boobs were so sore. I was gaining weight, I was hungry all the time, and when I eventually did get my period, the cramps were so terrible that I actually ended up in the ER, and they had to give me a shot of something in my leg that I'm assuming was morphine, but I don't know, and it was so bad. And I was on like 2 different types of pain medication, like strong pain medication to manage the pain. And so basically after that I was like, no more birth control, that's it for me. So I haven't been on hormonal birth control. I've kind of just let my body regulate itself since then, because I do not want to go through that again. I felt like I was in labor, and honestly the entire time that I was on birth control, I feel it felt like I was pregnant. Like, now I know what pregnancy feels like. It felt like I was pregnant. So basically the birth control made me feel like I was full on pregnant. I was never too concerned about not being on birth control, because obviously there are other ways to be safe and have safe sex. In fact, birth control doesn't protect against STIs, STDs, stuff like that, so it's always great to be doubling up. But obviously I couldn't really double up because I didn't want hormonal birth control at all. But I wasn't worried, because I had several doctors tell me that it was extremely unlikely to become pregnant naturally with PCOS, especially if you weren't actively trying to get pregnant. My gynecologist when I was 16 straight up told me, yo, if you ever get pregnant accidentally, you should keep it, because that's a bit of a miracle. That's almost like an inappropriate thing, I feel, to say to someone that's that young, because you should never be trying to influence someone on the choices that they make about their body, especially if you're just their doctor and not someone closer to them. But anyway, yeah, that kind of always stuck with me, because like, I've always known that it's highly unlikely, and I had very long cycles, very irregular cycles. I didn't think I was ovulating, because I've had doctors tell me that if your cycle is longer than 40 days, you're probably not ovulating, or if you are ovulating, you're probably not ovulating a good egg, like a properly developed egg. So I've always thought that I wouldn't get pregnant. So when my boyfriend and I had a bit of an oopsie, I did not think anything of it. I didn't take plan B, literally thought nothing of it, because I'd had oopsies in the past with other boyfriends. Nothing came of it, and from everything that I'd been told and then I'd read, it was extremely unlikely for me to get pregnant. But flash forward a couple weeks, I was at cycle day 52 of my cycle, and I still had not gotten my period. And this wasn't too unusual, mind you, because my previous cycle before this one was 72 days long. But what made me take a pregnancy test was the fact that I had been having premenstrual symptoms for basically 3 weeks. So now I know that it was from the moment that this baby was conceived, that egg was fertilized, I have been having symptoms. I was having super sore boobs and cramps for 3 weeks, and usually my PMS only happens at most a week before I get my period. So to have it for 3 weeks, I knew something was up, but I wasn't sure if it was that my hormones were super out of whack or if it was that I was pregnant. So I took a pregnancy test, and right away, 2 lines, and I was shocked. I didn't believe it at first. And I always thought it was a strange thing for people to say, like, oh, like, the pregnancy test is positive, but I didn't believe I was pregnant. I couldn't be pregnant. But, like, those things are not often very wrong. But it's just so weird when you're in that situation, especially when you're very early on in a pregnancy, to think that something could be going on inside of you that you can't even feel. Like, you can't feel the baby at that point. You don't look pregnant. So it is, like, a weird reality to accept. But immediately I was just terrified of losing the baby. Even though I'm still young and my boyfriend and I weren't planning to get pregnant at this point, I was immediately so scared of losing the pregnancy. Because women with PCOS are statistically much more likely to suffer a miscarriage. I think the statistics, they're varied, and there isn't like a conclusive number or percentage, but between 30 and 50% of women with PCOS will miscarry when they get pregnant. So a pregnancy, if you're pregnant with PCOS, you have a 30 to 50% chance of miscarrying. Whereas the average woman is somewhere between 10 and 20% depending on age and other factors. So I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm probably going to miscarry. And honestly, I thought I was going to miscarry probably up until about 12 weeks. Even now, still scared of it, because you can lose the baby at any point in a pregnancy, and it is terrifying. And if there's anything that I have to say about PCOS and pregnancy, I will say that it has made me so grateful for what's going on inside of me. And I'm so aware of how much of a miracle this is, and how unlikely this was, and how lucky I am. And I have not taken a second of it for granted, even though it has been a surprise. Because yeah, I'm so grateful that my body has been able to do this, and that so far everything has gone smoothly. And I know that there are so many women who struggle to become pregnant, who suffer recurrent miscarriages, who can't get pregnant at all, who carry a baby to term and then lose it. And so I'm so grateful that I've made it to the point that I have. I'm 16 weeks right now. And yeah, it's made me kind of aware of the beauty of pregnancy, because I think a lot of the times we can lose sight of that because it isn't fun all the time. You feel nauseous and gross and fat and ugly, and you get some acne, and you feel irritable, and you're crying all the time, and then you're mad all the time, and there's just a lot going on. And I think people complain about it a lot because it isn't fun, but at the same time, it's a beautiful thing, and I think that we should all be grateful for it, and that every pregnant woman should take a moment to think about how grateful they are to be in that position, to be able to carry their own child. And I'm kind of glad that I had PCOS and like an infertility diagnosis, because I don't know that I would have been as grateful or as welcoming of this otherwise. But I am super excited and super happy, and I just wanted to kind of come on here and let you guys know that if you have PCOS, totally possible to become pregnant. I think for me, what probably helped was the fact that I was super active, worked out 5 to 6 days a week, still do. I eat a plant-based diet. That's what really helped me. My cycles became much more regular after I became vegetarian and lost a bit of weight. And yeah, just being active, eating healthy, drinking lots of water, stuff like that can really help, I think, to balance your hormones out. But it is definitely possible to become pregnant with PCOS naturally, unassisted, and in this case, completely unexpectedly. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave them down below and I will try to answer them and get to those videos and all that. So yeah, hope you have a great day.